This is KGW News at 11.
First, we head to eastern Oregon, where people in Umatilla County are dealing with some of the worst flooding there in modern history. And it's not just homes and cars that have been lost. We've learned a 62-year-old woman has died. Her name was Janet Conley. Investigators think she was swept away by the swift floodwaters. Big snow and then fast melt caused the Umatilla River to surge over its banks on Thursday. Today, drenched mattresses and ruined couches sit in piles in front of homes. Fences and trees are knocked over. Roads stand deep in mud. Christine Pinawatch is live in the studio. Christine, tonight you spoke with some of the folks who are on the front lines dealing with all that damage.
Pat, it is so hard to wrap our heads around the absolute destruction left behind from all the flooding. So many people are affected. Today, homes are still waterlogged and mud is all over the place. At the same time, we're also hearing about people who are pulling together in such amazing ways to help each other.
This video posted to Facebook shows what people have had to deal with over the last handful of days.
Yeah, it's very intense. I mean, there's footage and video footage, but being right there with the roaring thunder of the water, seeing the road just crumbled, trees gone.
This was Friday, just off the South Fork of the Walla Walla River. Tollgate Off-Road Club and Recovery posted these videos. It's a group of 20 or so people who jumped in with their big trucks and SUVs to help. A fast snowmelt pushed many rivers over their banks late last week.
It's a catastrophe is what it is. It's unreal. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime.
Completely loaded up.
They've worked long hours bringing donated food, water, and other supplies to stranded people in hard-to-get areas. They've checked in on animals, really helping in any way they can.
Putting our gear and skills and knowledge to good use.
I'm covered, I'm tired, it's hard to keep my eyes open. I got about 4 hours of sleep last night personally.
Others, like Karen Martin in Pendleton,
tired. We're all really tired.
Are spent after a couple days cleaning up.
Well, yesterday and today, really, it's all about put your life back together, really. So as some of the water starts to subside, then what we're left with is literally inches of mud.
Nearly every room in her home is damaged, but she counts herself lucky. Some of her neighbors are now homeless.
Whenever you look at that type of destruction, a little part of your heart really breaks.
We see it on TV, but it's hard to imagine losing so much. If there is a bright spot, it's that so many are willing to help.
I think it's really amazing. You find out really what your town is all about.
At the end of the day, we're to show everyone that you can work together.
The people with Tollgate Off-Road Club and Recovery say they are normal, average, everyday people. They've got jobs too. But Pat, some of them are planning to take a day off work tomorrow to continue to help.
Thanks, Christine. I think a lot of people are going to start ramping up and heading over that way. Let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now. Hopefully, Joe, you have some good news for the folks in Umatilla County.
Absolutely, I do. And speaking of the Umatilla County, here's a look at the river levels. They're finally starting to go down. At its peak, river levels were just spilling over its bank and area streams as well. Right now, we've seen it drop dramatically, at least along the Umatilla River at Umatilla, at close to about 4 feet, a little more than that in just the last couple of days. The one thing that's really going to be helping folks in eastern Oregon, we're going to be seeing some dry conditions. A ridge of high pressure will start to move in throughout the next couple of days. Throughout the west side of the mountains and along the east side of the mountains, we're not seeing a whole lot in terms of precipitation, and that's going to be the case over the next couple of days as we start to usher in more sunny and a little bit warmer conditions as well. And we'll kind of zoom out a little bit. That ridge is going to basically hold strong, and we're looking into the driest stretch we've seen so far this winter in just the next couple of days. Basically from today all the way into Wednesday, that's 4 dry days. That's something we haven't seen since November. And there hasn't been any rain over in Meacham or LeGrand over the last 24 hours or so, or just about the last 12 hours. As we go look at the Futurecast early tomorrow morning, we will be seeing some areas of foggy conditions roll through, but for the most part, we are going to be seeing some dry weather over the next few days. Of course, it's been pretty active over the last couple of days across the Pacific Northwest, and that was the case along the Oregon coast as well. Here's a little bit of some video along the coast. Waves have dropped significantly in just the last couple of hours. We're talking about the last king tide of the winter. As we've been telling you, the tides happen every year during winter along the Pacific coast when the moon is closest to the earth, and we saw that last night with the snow moon. Typically, they're anywhere from 2 to sometimes even 5 feet higher than normal tide. Emergency officials also warn of powerful sneaker waves too.
try to go in pairs so that if something happens, the other person can go for help. Again, the water temperature is very low, so if you do find yourself in the water, scream and yell and wave your arms and try to get help right away, because the hypothermia is going to set in eventually and make it difficult. So just, again, know the dangers before you get here, and just because you think it's not going to happen to you doesn't mean it's not.
That is great advice, as you just heard there. There is a small craft advisory and a hazardous seas warning in effect for the coast. Wave heights this afternoon have been around 8 to 10 feet or so. We'll continue to monitor the weather conditions and keep you updated on air and online at KGW.com. And be sure to download the KGW app and check our social media pages as well. Pat, I'll talk more about your detailed forecast and what you can expect to see over the next few days in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Joe. Turning now to double murder that rocked Portland 3 years ago, the deadly Max stabbing of 2017. The trial is underway. Prosecutors have now rested their case, and tomorrow, Jeremy Christian's defense team will take their side out. Maggie Vespa is covering the trial for us and has a look ahead.
Good evening. Facing the possibility of life in prison, Jeremy Christian is expected to be back in court tomorrow as his lawyers call their first witnesses.
Some, the judge noted, are flying in from out of town. Christian's lawyers made it clear in opening statements they plan to call mental health experts to the stand to testify about the conditions they say Christian has. Among them, autism spectrum disorder. They've also told jurors to expect testimony on the effects of extreme stress or trauma on the human brain. Christian has pleaded not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect to a list of charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder. He's admitted to boarding a crowded Max train in May of 2017, delivering an angry, racist rant that terrified 2 black teen girls, and then stabbing 3 men who either intervened or stood nearby. 2, Ricky Best and Elijah Nomkai Meche, died. The 3rd, Micah Fletcher, survived. Christian's lawyers argue he has a diminished mental capacity and couldn't have fully known what he was doing. We've brought a team of legal experts on board to help us cover this case. One, a longtime defense attorney, noted we could see witnesses who have already testified for the prosecution take the stand again for the defense. Here's why.
If the state calls a witness, they testify about A, B, and C, the defense can cross them about A, B, and C. But they can't necessarily get into X, Y, and Z. And so the defense can reserve the right to call that person again during the defense case to get into X, Y, and Z.
It's not known if Jeremy Christian will testify in his own defense. The trial is expected to resume at 9 a.m. tomorrow and then last the rest of the month. Back to you.
Thanks, Maggie. Yet another shooting here in Portland. This is number 70 of this year, of this new year. This one happened around 12:30 this morning on the on-ramp at Southeast Division Street and I-205. Police say a driver was merging onto the highway when another car pulled up beside him, fired multiple rounds, and then drove off. The driver was not hurt. Police have not found the suspect, but they did find bullet holes in the victim's car. It's not all bad, by the way. The city's violence reduction team has been working all of these shooting cases, and they are making some progress getting guns off the street. On Friday, officers arrested 2 people in Northeast Portland and found 2 guns, one of which was found to be stolen. And on Thursday, a woman in Southeast was arrested. Police took a handgun from her waistband. Now to New York, where there have been 2 police shootings in the span of 12 hours tied to the same man. A shooter opened fire inside a police precinct in the Bronx this morning, hitting an officer in the arm. Just hours before that, authorities believe the same man opened fire on 2 officers who were sitting in their van. One of them was hit twice in the chin and the neck. The suspected shooter was arrested and identified as a career criminal with arrest for homicide and gun possession. He was reportedly released from custody just before the shootings.
It is only by the grace of God and the heroic actions of those inside the building that took him into custody that we are not talking about police officers murdered inside a New York City police precinct.
The injured officers are expected to fully recover. In a tweet, President Trump blamed the weak leadership of New York's governor and mayor for the city's police coming under fire.
We've always lived life with the understanding that I may not make it back home. I just didn't understand how crappy that would be.
It has been 6 months since Washington County Corporal Jeremy Braun was seriously hurt while searching for an armed man. He and another deputy were shot and both spent time in rehab, but it's Braun's injuries that have taken the longest to heal. Devin Haskins has the story of recovery and what life has been like since that day on August 8th.
So this scar here is the most recent one where they went in and beefed up my vocal cords.
A lasting mark on his body because of someone else's actions. On August 8th, near Henry Haig Lake.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Suspect is shooting at us.
This scar here, I mean, it speaks so much because it goes all the way down here. I mean, I've had surgeons' hands inside my throat massaging my carotid and my jugular.
Corporal Braun and Deputy Iverson were shot and wounded chasing after this man, Dante Halling. Braun had taken a shot to the left side from close range. His body was full of birdshot, tiny BB-like pellets that disperse once fired.
It's a reminder that other people's decisions and how they would choose to lead their life can affect other people.
He spent months in recovery, only able to eat pureed foods. He had to learn to walk, talk, and swallow once again.
I had like a list of foods.
You had a list.
Because you're not living until you're excited about pureed French toast or pureed eggs.
He credits his wife, his 3 kids, and his brothers and sisters in blue for getting him to where he is today.
There's a lot of things that could have kept me from coming back to work. So I'm coming back to work, and I will serve this community again.
Devin Haskins, KGW News.
That is a story of resilience.